What's up, guys? I am doing rear main seal on this guy again. The first time I did it, I guess I bent the seal back or something and it's still leaking. So I figured I'd record it this time, maybe help a few people out, answer some questions about the rear main seal on the Jeep Wrangler JK. This is for the 2007 and 2011 Jeep Wrangler JK with 3.8. I think the 3.6 rear main seal is a little different. This will also be helpful for people, you know, removing transmission to replace their clutch, removing the fuel tank to replace the fuel pump. Even those replacing their upper oil pan gaskets, I'm gonna take that off this time too. It's kind of hard to get the seal on there, and maybe I can insert a clip of it here. It's really hard to get that seal on around the crankshaft. The seal is super stiff and very tight. It comes with this collar. I'll show you right now. I just got the replacement seal. So we'll take a look at this seal real quick and then I want to get going. Here's the seal. I went with Crown Automotive from Morris 4x4. The seal comes with this plastic collar, right? Although it's pretty tight, I believe it goes on this way, so this would be the back side. This would be the side facing the back of the engine block, but this plastic collar slips over the crankshaft, and then I believe that kind of helps this edge of the seal slip over the crankshaft. I didn't end up using this white plastic collar. I just took it out thinking it was maybe just to hold the seal's shape right until you put it in, but after talking to a service tech that's familiar with this, they said to use that collar to slip it up over the crankshaft, and then you can kind of hammer the rear main seal on it, and then you'll be able to pull this plastic seal out. So I'm gonna try it this time. My way obviously didn't work. There's gonna be some differences in this Jeep because I actually haven't put it all back together. Like, for example, I left the front drive shaft off and the front dust cover off. I didn't actually put it all the way back on because I wanted to make sure and ensure there was no leaks. So that's not gonna be on here. That's gonna look a little differently than your Jeep. The interior is missing because I haven't put the center console back in. So getting started doing rear main seal, while you're still clean, I would just go ahead and take the shifter, the center console out, and the shifter. I think there's not very good light in here, I'm sorry, but I think there's a bunch of videos of that. This is a manual, obviously, so it's just this little Allen bolt, and take the shifter off. So one thing I definitely recommend before you start is to get this hood all the way up against the windshield, because it just allows more light to show through behind the engine and around it, so you can see on top of the transmission bell housing. You get those bolts up there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this hood up. You can see this garage is barely tall enough to do this, but once I get it behind that garage door opener, I can start jacking it up. Just major tools you'll need before you begin something like this, just to remove the transmission mostly, and the fuel tank, is a transmission jack. This is kind of a old school one. It's actually my dad's, but it works really good. I don't think they're that expensive, but you use a 1/4 inch ratchet on there to lift it up and down. Obviously some jack stands and a good floor jack. So next thing is just lift the Jeep as high as you can, so you can be able to get the transmission out from under there. You want it as high as possible, at least in my garage, because after you get the transmission on the transmission jack and lower the jack all the way down, it's actually kind of a big assembly, so it's hard to get it out from under the Jeep. And we're going to be taking the transmission completely out. These are 6-ton jack stands from Harbor Freight. They're cheap, they're strong, and they go really high. I'm pretty much topping out the garage at this point. But like I said, it definitely helps if you get pretty high. More room to work. Another thing to keep in mind too is when you take the transfer case out, the Jeep's actually gonna unspring and lift up a little bit because a lot less weight in there. I'm not sure how much it weighs overall, but I think the transfer case is at least 180, 200 pounds probably. So not that jack stand placement is super important, but it seems like just to the side of the shock mount, so you're not hitting the sway bar mount. It's the best spot. And I'm just trying to put them as outward as possible so I can have as much space under there. The other thing that's super helpful is a creeper. Not necessarily required, but extremely helpful. Last time I did it on my back, I was hurting for a couple days. So before we get started, next step, I just kind of want to show you what I think is the sure sign of the rear main seal leaking. The most helpful thing, probably under any car, is a freaking good light, but this is where the problem's happening. Okay, so I don't have the dust shield on here. It would be bolted on the upper oil pan there, and then on the bell housing in those 4 locations, bolt holes. So what I'm trying to show you is the flywheel is soaked. This was just after the initial drive, after I had done the rear main seal, the upper oil pan gasket, which is very dry all the way around. Very dry, looks great. Very happy with the Fel Pro gasket I got. Nothing's leaking now. All signs are kind of pointing to this rear main seal. So, oil, motor oil, engine oil is getting thrown on this flywheel, and that's dripping down the flywheel and then getting flung around the transmission bell housing, and then that's draining down to the bottom and then leaking out here, right here. And if I lift the back of the Jeep up to where this transmission is, angled downward, more will drip out. So I mean, oil is building up in this transmission now, and it's a super bummer. I'm very bummed about this. I kind of cinched up everything as if it was the last time. And I put in a really nice spec clutch, and it's driving awesome, better than ever. It's sad, but anyways, I must have done the seal wrong. So the other thing I want to show you is the things missing. Like I said earlier, this dust cover